Hi everyone, thank you for attending. And my current topic today is Nuxt 3 layers. I will tell you some prehistory of this presentation. I will describe some alternative solutions. I will tell you about underestimated feature of Nuxt 3 and will explain to you a possible design architecture with Nuxt framework development. And I will tell you in the end all the advantages of my solution. So let's start with prehistory. It could be a scary story, but maybe not. So 4 or maybe 5 years ago, I created my own side portfolio. And it was like, it started as a pet project, as we usually do. I guess every developer wants to spend some time to investigate something new. So when I started to learn React, I decided to practice with it and I built my portfolio. And as a true developer, I wanted to start to make it overcomplicated. I prepared 3 instances, like for storefront, for API, and for the admin panel. And I separated the development completely for different repositories, different domains, different everything. It was fine, but it's really slow me because I needed a lot of time to switch between them and start and build something working like MVP stage. In this year, since January, I decided to start my another pet project, and I spent already more than 600 hours for that. I decided to make it easier at the beginning, like including all the issues and problems with the previous my experience, I decided to create a monolith application because there is nothing better than monolith application, you know. So I have only like one end application, but it includes all the sides that I mentioned before, like architectural layers or areas. On the storefront, I want to see only that information that is not secure. For all the like customers, visitors, for admin panel, I want to edit everything that I need to show on storefront. But Nuxt 3 prepare API layer like as a server handler that could be strictly typed and help you to develop it faster, because when you fetch something in the admin panel on any component, it doesn't matter, admin panel or storefront, you always know which data will come in because Nuxt generates types in runtime as well, and it's really easy to develop. So in this case, I decided to start with this simple monolith architecture because it's really fast. Why not? But as you know, there is no silver bullet. Always you have some issues. And for example, in my previous experience, I mentioned issues that it's just really slow and overcomplicated. But when you choose some easier development and faster development, you will see other sides of issue. And the first one is security issue. It's pretty simple to explain because usually, you know, when we have end application, you include all the areas and sites to the end application, like admin panel and storefront. And we have API, as I mentioned it. And API contains some server handlers that could expect not only get a request, but also post, put, delete, and others. So it's nice in storefront to fetch some data with GET requests. And it's also nice for the admin panel to also use GET request, but also to add some records to database with post and put request. But it's unexpected when storefront also has access to post and put because it's insecure. This is first issue. The second issue is result bundle. When you have only one end application, you include everything in result bundle. Like you have shared UI library, API endpoints, middlewares, components, pages, models, etc., etc. A lot of stuff. Most part of that is necessary only for the admin panel, because admin panel functionality is about 70% of the whole stuff that you could write for the working application. So in this case, I didn't want to make the bundle really huge to load it on storefront because I just didn't need it. it also, like this issue, third issue, project mess, is related to the previous issue, result bundle, because everything that I mentioned is about one project structure, like one repository, one components, shared components between every stuff, and it's really difficult to navigate between project, even if you separate everything by different directories, like between admin and storefront. Anyway, sometimes you need to edit something in both directories, in both areas, and when you expand everything that you need, it's really difficult to find something. So we have three issues here, and how we can fix them. Existing solutions that provided by Nuxt 3. Security area, the first part. We can solve everything just by middlewares. It's understandable for every developers, like we have middlewares for routing, for accessing, and etc., etc. So we can write additional logic to prevent post and put requests from the storefront side. Yeah. Then result bundle we can easily to fix by lazy loading, and Nuxt also contains some built-in feature, like when you import some components by their name, you can easily to put prefix lazy for each import, and the component won't be included to result bundle until it's necessary. And project mess we could handle by models, because models could be divided to different repositories, different directories, and easily included as an npm package. But what could combine issues of these solutions? More code. And when we have more code, it's more complexity and more time to develop. So I started to find another solution, what could help me. I find out that in Nuxt 3 documentation, I saw underestimated feature, and I need to explain why underestimated. Underestimated because it's the only page that you could find in Nuxt 3 documentation, and that's it. If you already face it, Nuxt 3 documentation, you know it's pretty good because it contains a lot of information, useful information, and it's really structured and it's really nice. But when you open layers page, you don't understand enough from this page because it's really short, without enough use cases, explanation how to use it, and I just missed it each time. I was on Nuxt documentation domain maybe for around 30, maybe 40 hours this year, and I never joined this page. I just missed it. I don't know why, because it's really small. It's a reason why I didn't start with this. But when I found out that I could implement with layers, it really changed my mind, and it's really game changer for me. So I started to design architecture with new feature for me. For example, we still have end application, and we could have different areas. For example, admin panel, yeah, and it could be top level layer, like as a separate application. So layers is pretty close to usual Nuxt application with the same feature auto imports. It's necessary to add more code to implement it, everything like pages, server handlers, or etc., etc., but without additional code like as for models, because layers is the same Nuxt 3 application, but the main difference, it could be included to another application. So we could build really difficult chain, like step by step. And for example, we have end application, then we include extend like another layer as an application, and this layer could also extend different layers. So this is just example diagram, but let's go next. As I mentioned, I have two areas, admin and storefront, and what could we build with layers. We could start with the UI library and we could separate different UI libraries per instance. And for example, I want to have for admin panel only admin UI, not to share some components with storefront. And also I want to have another layer, storefront UI. Also, if I will have some components that has to be shared, I could make some like shareable UI between admin and storefront. It could be like error alert messages, pop-ups, models, buttons even. It depends on the design solution. But in my case, I didn't need shareable UI, so I decided to build it separately. So in this case, we could have end applications like admin and storefront. And in layers UI, expected project structure, we could have admin UI and storefront. And then just in Nuxt config TS, include those directories as to extend this application. But let's go make it more difficult to use it for real cases. And for example, in my application, I need e-commerce functionality. Some functionality has to be related to core functionality, shareable for as usual layer. But also I want to carefully include B2C and B2B stuff because sometimes I won't need it. I could create a new directory e-commerce and inside I could create additional directories like core, B2C, B2B. It's expected, but some of them has to be shared only for admin and storefront. Let's expand it deeper. And in core, I could also have some like models, orders, store views, payments. And let's expand orders again. And in orders, I could have like real layers, real Nuxt 3 applications where I could write some middlewares, the database connection, create some API endpoints and a lot of stuff that's related to only to e-commerce layer and only for orders functionality. And in this case, when I have 3 directories, I could put only secure part to admin directory and extend it in the end admin application. Also, I could create the same for storefront that has to be accessible only from the storefront side. And also, with example with GET requests, I could create another directory shared layer with some GET endpoints or something that could be shared between admin and storefront application in the end. So this is example, like a simple example of usually that we met in different applications, but we could change our mind to understand architecture with Nuxt 3 layers because you don't need to prepare completely different applications as microservices. And in this case, you don't need to build only monolith application. It's something like middle. Probably it's even silver bullet, as I mentioned before, because it allows us to make it highly customizable monolith application, but with different instances, like one instance for admin as a separate application and another one for storefront. So this is a short example how we could extend. Nuxt config TS is a basic file that has to be appear in each Nuxt application, and in extents we could specify that we want to include one layer, for example admin UI for admin application, and for example e-commerce admin and shareable stuff. And under the hood it could extend more applications for core functionality, for B2C functionality, and B2B. And by if statements, we could exclude some of them or include. It depends on our potential necessaries. And for example, if we want to build with this stuff some SaaS solutions or something, we could prepare, like I described everything from technical point of view, but if I want to present it from the business point of view, I want to prepare a free plan for customers for SaaS solution. And I expect that we could build some I don't know, maybe academy platform or something with courses, workshops, and some educational materials. So in this case, why we need a separate e-commerce solution? Because we need only virtual products. Yeah, we don't have any like shipments and other stuff that usually we use for physical products, but in our case we need only virtual. And for example, courses could be a virtual product. With these layers, we could prepare a free plan where we could include only like basic functionality, like we could allow only one admin user, we could add only one content language, for example, English by default, yeah, and also we include basic functionality courses, but and we include only necessary layers from the e-commerce like share directory. But also I want to prepare like the next level, maybe paid stuff, and I want to provide more functionality like 2 content languages to translate something. I want to include workshops, blog functionality, customers orders, discounts, coupons, and payment methods. I'm going through with this visualization of possible plans. I want to include additional stuff. But I also thinking about from business point of view, I want to have like an enterprise plan, but it doesn't need to include all of these layers from e-commerce stuff. Why? Because, for example, just imagine that we have this platform inside Vaimo and we have Vaimo Academy platform. But it doesn't need to have like customers and orders because participants don't need to pay for these courses because it's shared only inside Vaimo. Yeah, right. And in this case, I have to exclude from e-commerce layer all the stuff that related to payments and orders, but I want to include another layer, for example, CCO login to share only with Vaimo domain account with Google Suite. This is just imaginable, but I wanted to explain why layers are flexible flexible architecture, because you could easily exclude some layers but include other ones, and easily replace one solution with another solution. Like you have integration with one database in one layer, but you want easily to replace to another database, yeah, and you could exclude one and extend another layer to easily switch between them. So shortly, advantages. Why I decided to keep this architecture type, because every layer is the same as usual Nuxt layer. It has auto imports, auto types, and all the stuff that you usually use for Nuxt application. And each layer could extend another layer, and that layer could also extend another layer. So we could build a really long chain in this case and make complicated structure as we need. Additional stuff that like layer is not replacing for modules. It could be combined. Like we could install modules per layer, but if we disable some layers, all the modules won't be installed in the end application as well. And as I said, we could easily swap our integration with CMS solutions, mail servers, marketing services, databases, storage services, etc. You could also separate these layers by different repositories and even make them private ones. And Nuxt 3 allows you to install some layers with specific token from GitHub, as example. And for GitLab as well, as I remember. It solves all the risks and security potential issues that I mentioned before. It also solves messy project because you can easily separate by different directories, different repositories, and you can carefully extend layers that only you need in the end application to reduce your bundle size. Additional features that we have in Nuxt config.ts, we could provide some configs and it will be all merged in the end application. Like if you have some specific config in one layer, then in another one, all of them you will have as a merged array object or something in the result application. For my opinion, Nuxt layers are much better than Nuxt modules because it has everything out of the box, and you don't need to write additional stuff in comparison with modules. And as for me, as I mentioned, that's why I decided to stay on it. So layers is a perfect solution for me, like architecture solution to build some flexible application. Also, I prepared some useful links for you, and you could download my slides then and navigate by these links. But also you can scan this QR code and go. It's just a GitHub repository with the same links that I kept here. So if I can switch to the next slide. This is the end slide. You can subscribe on me in GitHub and LinkedIn. And after all, we could go to a separate room where you could ask everything that you want about my pet project, about Nuxt 3 architecture, and everything you have in mind. So thank you for attending. Thank you for listening. George, your mic.
I have one question for you, Serhii.
Yeah, sure.
At what point did Nuxt introduce layers, and which version do we are we able to use that?
Only in Nuxt 3. Layers won't appear in Nuxt 2 and previous versions.
Okay. How big of an effort is it? I mean, this is a very vague, open question, but how big of an effort is to migrate from Nuxt 2 to Nuxt 3?
I didn't have this experience of upgrading, but I remember that Nuxt 2 and Nuxt 3 in the project structure is pretty similar, because in comparison Nuxt 1, first Nuxt and Nuxt 2, they completely different. But anyway, upgrading is always about complicated things, so it's not like just upgrade a version and everything will be fine. So probably some adjustments have to be done, but I guess it's still possible.
The project or the app, the more difficult it usually is to migrate.
Yeah.
It's cool cool to hear and see about these different architecture patterns, how to approach things. It's the same on the React side, because there's multiple ways of doing the same thing.
Yeah, I recently work only with React in my pet project expertise or something. But when I joined team with Vue storefront project, I was interested in Vue, what's new we have, because I remember Vue 1 and Vue 2 wasn't so good, and I decided to check what Vue 3 could offer. And it's really game changer to me, even in comparison with previous versions and even in comparison with React, because currently even I knew React and didn't have any experience with Vue. Vue I prefer better, so more. And I started to prepare certain certifications. I passed middle level, then senior level examinations. Yesterday I submitted Nuxt exam and awaiting the result. This ecosystem really friendly for developers and is much better than Nuxt. And in addition, I joined project with Next.js and React, and I do the same things that I have in pet projects mostly, but it's completely different, and I can say that Nuxt is really better than Next, especially with Nuxt 3 layers feature, because Next doesn't provide this one.
Yeah, it's really good for long-term growth to be able to see the both sides of it.
Yeah, that's true.
And to see the different patterns that are being used. Because in the end, those come and go. If there's something cool in, let's say, Vue side, it usually ends up on the React side as well in some form, and the other way around, that they copy each other quite a bit over the long term. But yeah.
But I like Vue documentation and Nuxt documentation because when you open it, in some pages you can find information like, yes, we implemented some features like composables, and you can map them in React called hooks, but we fixed this point, and this point, and that's the reason why our solution is better than in React. So they they confirm that they have competitor like Next.js and React, but also they mentioned why their solution could be better. And I don't remember about disadvantages, but it's really nice to have this comparison even in the documentation. So
I agree. Yeah, I've always liked Vue side of things, especially because they went with the mindset that let's simplify things, let's keep them the kind of the monolithic approach they took with the very at the very beginning with their architecture. I really like that, and it has always bothered me with that with React. You split things too much. You overcomplicate it.
yeah.
But at the same time, we know that the industry is especially in our area of the industry, it's leaning so heavily on the React side that we're kind of forced to go into that side as well. But yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I will leave you to discuss.
Thank you for joining.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Serhii.
Yeah. See you.